Much, guys, for tuning in to the grand finals of the Empire Collective Cup tournament. This is going to be the Viper versus RiuT, Game 1.
Here we go, and get ready. This is going to be fantastic. Game number 1 right here. The Empire Collective Cup Platinum League Finals. Viper up to the north of the map in the yellow. He is playing as the Britons, like you quite rightly said earlier on, Rez. And down to the south of the map in the grey, we have Tyrant RiuT playing as the Celts. So to kick things off, a little bit of non-mirror civ action.
Yeah, and these are two incredibly powerful civilizations, especially considering that we have some of the top civilizations banned. Looks like the game is... okay, we're waiting for other players right now, and it looks like the map is going to be Acropolis. What do you think of this map?
Yeah, Acropolis is a really awesome map, and the Empire Collective Light Pack has 8 maps in it, Acropolis being one of them, so there's a 1 in 8 chance of this map being randomly picked out of the hat. But it's certainly a map where we've seen some very good games so far this tournament. Notably, a game that I really stands out to me was the Chris versus Loiza game on this map, where Chris managed to kill about 18 units with just 4 skirmishes. It was pretty crazy, but it's a map that, although it is quite easy to defend on top of your hill, you are forced to go down away from your hill and grab the wood, which is in the center of the map, leaving your villagers more exposed and opening the map up to a lot more aggression and a lot more sort of raiding opportunities. Do you like this map, Rez? What do you think about this map?
This is actually one of my favorite maps in Age of Empires too. Not so much to play, but more sort of watch, because it does have that very interesting dynamic. You can hold the hill quite easily with that hill advantage, but you can't stay there for too long, and things get really interesting as players scramble to try and, expand outward, and every time that they build a lumber camp on the low ground, that's a massive risk that they have to take. In terms of the civilization matchup, I think that this is going to be something that is pretty interesting, but if the game drags on really late, the Celts siege line sounds pretty good to me, but the Britons do have a very strong early game. What do you think?
Yeah, the Britons are just such a strong civilization, and they're really kind of underestimated. And when you take out the Huns, the Aztecs, the Mayans, and the Vikings from the civ pool, you do see the Britons coming up a lot. The Mongols and the Celts, they all come up a hell of a lot, all second-tier civs. And Viper, I know for a fact, after interviewing him and speaking to him in the past, he really does love to play as the Britons. He gets, he likes that sort of power spike you get with the range when you go up to the Castle Age, and their crossbows are fantastic. Of course, one thing to bear in mind is the Celt siege is so very strong, and with with faster firing siege, RiuT will be able to potentially do a lot of damage to those crossbows that we expect to see.
Ooh, it looks like the Viper is already coming forward with his scout, and he's going to be harassing one of RiuT's builders. And since it's so early on in the game right now, neither player is going to have loom, and that means that RiuT has to send that villager back to his town center, and that will slow him down just a little bit. The Viper scout has to run away.
Yeah, and obviously RiuT here doesn't have loom yet, so that villager did have to go back. It's a good job he noticed that when he did. Otherwise, that could have been pretty bad, and the worst thing that could possibly happen at this stage is losing a villager. Now, I wanted to point out that both players here building their lumber camps on top of their hills to begin with, and no one taking a risk, no one going out to the front of the map and taking the wood down on the low ground, which is something we've seen Chris do a couple of times in this tournament. So both players, taking it quite safe. And one thing I want to point out as well is that both players have their gold sort of behind their town centers, and that may actually help them out quite a lot. We'll have to wait and see. Now on the left side right now, Viper pushing in those deer by the looks of things, and I'll be interested to see, will he go for a kind of drush build here? He certainly has the wood to do it, and as we approach 6 minutes 30, he will throw down that barracks. The question is, will RiuT see it? Will he respond with a drush of his own? Or will he continue this kind of walling that he's doing with these houses and maybe sit back, go for a fast feudal and follow down those lines?
Yeah, it looks like RiuT might be spending the first 10 minutes of the game playing a little bit defensively, as he does not actually have a barracks yet. I do like this decision on the Viper's part to go for a drush, especially considering how difficult it is to get an effective wall-up on this map. That's one of the best ways of dealing with the drush, so RiuT might end up getting some idle time on his villagers, as Viper is going to be queuing up his first few militia. But when I compare the maps between both players, I think I like RiuT's map a little bit better. He just has more forests that are closer to him that he's able to expand to.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that one down on the front right side is the obvious first choice. And obviously, you know, Viper here, he has got that forest, but it certainly seems further away. It seems harder for him to access. And of course, players cannot keep taking the wood on top of their Acropolis forever. He will have to move down there eventually. But I think that's where a Drush can be quite nice, because it gives you that early game map control. And I know Viper is a player that, you know, he doesn't tend to wall up that much in friendly games. In tournament games, he tends to wall a little more, but he's the kind of player that likes to have the map control, he likes to have the map visibility, and with a Drush, that is something that might enable him to do that. Now, RiuT hit 22 population, but notice this, he's got his barracks up, and I'm wondering if maybe he'll start queuing some militia here to deal with Viper's militia, and maybe even go down the man-at-arms route due to the Celts having the faster moving infantry.
That would be really cool to see. One thing that I think is interesting to note as well is that the way RiuT's map is set up, his main gold and his forage bushes are ridiculously close to his town center, so the Viper might be in for a rude awakening as he moves in here. These villagers are awfully safe, and we do see some defensive militia.
Yeah, and obviously with 2 villagers now going out to gold, that's pretty, you know, indicative, that's pretty standard for a kind of man-at-arms build. Now, it's usually you see players go up to the feudal age with a few more villagers when they're doing man-at-arms. This situation, we've got RiuT going up on the 22 population, so a kind of standard 21 villager build. But with the 2 villas on gold, we can expect to see the man-at-arms upgrade coming in, and he's certainly got the means to protect these villagers now and push the Viper back with a few defensive wall-offs here on this lumber line. In come the militia. Will he go for the engagement, or will he wait until the man-at-arms upgrade is complete? Let's find out. Man-at-arms coming in.
Yeah, a solid quick wall up there from RiuT is going to deny the Viper as he's trying to worm his way into that wood line, force some idle time, make those villagers fight him, and it looks like we're going to see an engagement here as both players trying their best to micro carefully and try and spread that damage out across their militia.
Yeah, because Micro's really going to come into it here, but this is where the Celts definitely get their upper hand. They get the faster movement speed on their infantry, and now he's got the man-at-arms as well. Viper cannot engage this, even if he has the hill advantage. I think he's going to struggle. So we'll see if he actually goes for the engagement, or if he just tries to annoy RiuT. He's got the hill advantage. RiuT, of course, being attacked by the wolf now as well. Oh, goodness me, that could not be going any worse for RiuT, could it? But I think he's still going to come out on top anyway. That wolf maybe finishing off a militia here. Fantastic.
Oh, wow.
Maybe finishing 2. Ah, 1 HP. Unbelievable.
Wow, absolute disaster for RiuT. I think his game plan there was to sort of try and, you know, catch the Viper out with that wonderful Celt's extra movement speed on that man-at-arms, sort of pin him in the corner there, and I think the Viper felt forced. Like, he had to take that fight. There was no way that he could run away, and thankfully for that wolf, the Viper actually manages to trade basically evenly there in a situation where normally that should have been a wash.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, this is why the Viper is such a good player. He even has Mother Nature on his side. It's difficult to beat that. It's unbelievable. But you see now how Viper's moved down towards the lumber on the right-hand side, building a camp down there, building his archery ranges out front to try and provide some kind of protection to the left side of that. But he did what he wanted to do. He got his early game map control. As soon as he pushed out with the militia, that's when he made his move into the center of the map. And now, of course, RiuT here preparing for those Briton archers with some skirmishers. But Viper, I don't know if he's going to be committing that heavily into archers just yet, mixing in some skirms right now. And what do you think castle time wise? Do you think Viper's going to be going for a faster castle time here, or what do you think?
Oh, I have to say that I do think that the Viper will be trying to get to the Castle Age before RiuT. One of the downsides of going for all these skirmishers in the beginning is that it soaks up a lot of your food, and that means that you're going to inevitably have a slower castle time. But when I look at the way that the Viper has balanced his eco, and he's starting to stockpile a little bit of food, a little bit of gold, I'm sure he has his eye on that Castle Age upgrade, and RiuT is going to try and grab fletching and maybe seize an opportunity here.
Yeah, with fletching on these scams, I mean, he can definitely take this engagement to the Viper. And, you know, you got to bear in mind, those Briton archers don't really get any buffs in the feudal age. Well, they don't get any buffs in the feudal age. It all really comes into play once they get the Castle Age. And, you know, the Britons are such a strong Castle Age civilization. Their crossbows are so good. They get cheaper TCs. They can work on their economy and work on military at the same time. But RiuT seems prepared. He's going down this skirmisher route. And I think this is definitely the right thing to do here as he comes to the berries and pushes those villagers away. And if there's one thing I've learnt in the Empire Collective Cup, it's to not underestimate the power of skirmishers.
Yeah, not only are they going to slay your entire army of crossmen, they're also going to destroy your economy as well. As RiuT here, he has fletching. The Viper just got his blacksmith up. He just got fletching. Now he's grabbing padded archer armor. So this means that RiuT had a little brief window in there where he could get some free attacks off. But now the Viper on the defensive. Can he hold off against this attack? I think he can.
Yeah, I think possibly. Bear in mind, they both have fletching right now, and Viper's got padded archer armor coming in, but there's two engagements going on at the same time. I didn't notice this, but whilst RiuT was hitting those berries, Viper was coming in at the lumber line of RiuT, killed 3 villagers with his archers there, and that's quite a bit of early eco damage. There's a 6 villager difference right now. Viper has 6 additional villagers already, and as the Britons, I think that's quite scary.
Oh yeah, I think that that was really smart of him to actually worm his way in there and snag a couple of villagers there, because he already had like a small economic lead because RiuT had to go up on such a small population, grab men-at-arms. He didn't even get that much value off it. And now that the Viper has his padded archer armor upgrade that he was waiting for, he is ready to pounce, and he's going straight on RiuT's army at the back. Meanwhile, while trying to micro at the front, but he has to watch out. There's so many skirmishers.
Yeah, there's 2 battles going on at the same time. I don't think any amount of micro is going to be able to save both armies at the same time here. But I think Viper can take the engagement on the right side fairly comfortably. Like as you say, he has got that padded archer armor upgrade there, that +1 defense, allowing him to really soak up a little bit more damage, especially on the skirmishes. But yeah, on the left side, he's just holding his hill, and I think, RiuT may be feeling a little wary of that. Not too sure if he wants to push in, since Viper has the attack bonus. But he's going to group his army together now, and bear in mind, right now would be a perfect time to engage, as Viper split his army into 2 groups, and RiuT has his all together. So maybe could see a big fight here if RiuT forces the matter, and maybe he can get an upper hand in terms of military count. Right now, they're very close. But once again, Viper gonna slip by, go for that wood line, whilst RiuT comes in to the wood line of Viper at the same time.
Wow, mutually assured destruction. Both players here content to go trade a bunch of free villagers, but the Viper is going to get a defensive watchtower in time to go zone off that army. Meanwhile, RiuT does not have a defensive watchtower on his wood line. He's going to lose so many villagers.
Yeah, he's lost like 2 or 3 already. They're running away, but they're running away from the TEC. They're running into the center of the map as Viper cuts in from the right-hand side. Where is RiuT going to go with those villagers? Is he going to throw down a forward watchtower or something like that? I'm not sure. On the right side, Viper's now running away from his wood line. RiuT going to get a bunch of villager kills under here, and that tower not doing a huge amount of damage because skirmishers with +1 defense soaking up the arrow fire from that. But RiuT's villagers, so much idle time over here, and it looks like a few more might just get picked off as well. What are they doing? They're stopping. That's not what they want to do right now. Oh my goodness.
Wow, the Viper's gonna corral those villagers into the corner of the map, and this is absolutely devastating as both players losing population as the game drags on. Both of them just falling apart right here, but RiuT behind by 9 villagers. The Viper just narrowly able to sort of salvage the situation, and I attribute a lot of that to some just smart defensive watchtower placement. Look at the Viper long distance mining some stone. He's just doing his best to stall and kill as many villagers as he can.
Yeah, he's doing a great job right now, and obviously, with a 10 villager advantage, that is absolutely huge. I see what you mean about the stone there. Now, it's kind of interesting, like Viper here throwing up those towers, RiuT also doing the same, but he's put that tower on his main gold, and I'm not sure if I agree with that as much as putting it on the wood line there. RiuT's economy now absolute tatters at the moment, as his villagers are all, like you say, corralled and pushed away, and he's gonna have to get into the TC, and this is no good. His wood income is basically reduced to 0 at the moment, and his villagers can find no safe place at this moment in
RiuT
time.
might still have an army on the Viper's side, but he's just not able to accomplish that much with it, unfortunately. Wood is easily one of the most important resources in the game, and without wood, we can see just how desperate RiuT is, having to just chop down those straggler trees, and at some point, he's going to run out of them. He needs wood to create an army, to reseed his farms, and without any wood, he's going to have a lot of trouble keeping up with the Viper's military.
He is, and at this point he's going to have a lot of trouble anyway, since the Viper is 14 villages ahead. But Viper seems no closer to the Castle Age just yet. He is really committed to this feudal aggression, and quite rightly so. He's getting himself a nice early edge right here. He may as well keep doing what he's doing because it is working well. And at the moment, you're right, RiuT doesn't seem to be able to do much damage back, and I think that is a real problem for him right now. Whilst at the same time, Viper is continually hitting this wood line on the front, continually harassing these villagers, and it's causing RiuT a real headache right now. But Viper's trapped.
He is indeed trapped, and he's trying to worm his way just through, break down that small little
so
weak
close.
point in the wall, but he's going to lose his
Can he
entire
do it?
army.
Oh, so very close. Just escaping there. RiuT hacking away at those archers as they try and work their way out. It cost him a villager. And the funny thing is, Viper could have just gone around. Guys, if you know anything from this stream, there is always a hole. And there was a hole. But yeah, Viper losing so many archers there. And once again, the military count right now is neck and neck. But RiuT struggling to get wood. He's struggling to keep these villagers safe. And Viper may be coming in with the final blow here to these villagers on the front as more archers now move into position.
This could be the nail in the coffin for RiuT's economy, and with that, the Viper might even be able to close out the entire game. It's worth noting, guys, that you can't actually build on the hills in Acropolis, which is why the Viper could have actually just walked around that road, because there's no way that RiuT can actually close it. The Viper looking for an opportunity to get in good engagement here, but RiuT has the hill advantage. Will that be enough?
Well, he's got the skirms as well, and Viper seems to have a, about 50-50 archer and skirmisher mix right there, so I guess limited damage to that wood line, really. But, man, the villager difference right here is something else. Currently, RiuT's on 31 villagers, but Viper's so ahead. He's on 48 right now, and the chance of him catching up, it's just going to be so very difficult with Viper on the way up to the Castle Age at the moment, and he's just looking really strong right now.
Yeah, and with that, the Viper will put down his third archery range, grab some economic technologies, snag that gold mining, and meanwhile, RiuT left on the defensive. But what is exactly, what can he stall for if he's behind this much on villagers? I think that RiuT will realize that he's in big trouble as soon as he sees the Viper up to the Castle Age.
Zach is love,
RiuT's moving
Zach
forward.
is life.
Maybe this is his last chance to get a
ZeroEmpires,
good
would you
fight.
like to be my wife, Kappa Pride?
Sorry about that. I just got a donation from Bend Over, please. Much appreciated, Bend Over. $20. Thank you very much. It did, however, cut over what you just said, because for some reason I forgot to turn the woman that reads off the donation messages, even though I disabled the sound. So you were talking, she was talking, and Bend Over, please. Your proposal is much appreciated, but I'm sorry, I'm going to have to turn you down. But Rez, please say what you were saying again, and I'll sort that out for next time.
Aw, that's so sweet of him. Basically, it looks like RiuT is obviously in deep trouble, and his last hope is that he can somehow get a good engagement here before the Viper hits Castle Age and closes out the game with that good old crossman upgrade. But he is actually looking a little outnumbered here. I'm not so sure about this.
Yeah, this is the thing, right? Viper doesn't want to engage right now because, as good as skirmishers are, once you get bodkin arrow and crossbowmen as the Britons, skirmishers become no problem to you. Skirmishers, they are so outranged by the Briton crossbows that Viper here will probably be able to take this engagement and comfortably win. Look at this. They're melting. They're melting away. And RiuT has to go back. And this is just no good for him.
Yeah, I love that the Viper ended up grabbing that Elite Skirmisher upgrade here too, as I think that will get a lot of value in this matchup for sure. And the Viper going to be waiting for his upgrades before he takes the fight, and then he comes in for the kill, cleaning up RiuT's army. Now he's forced back, but RiuT is on his way to the Castle Age. He's down, but not out.
He is down. He is definitely down. And with a tower on that wood line, maybe he'll hold himself in this game a little longer. And I think, RiuT might just be stalling here. He might just be looking for that all-important siege workshop. And with a couple of mangonel shots here, he could turn this around in terms of army count. The problem is, he's got a long way to go to turn this around in villager count. He's going to have to do a lot of raiding on the Viper's economy. And right now, it really doesn't look like he's going to have the opportunity to do that as Viper pushes forwards with some big group of crossbow on the left-hand side. RiuT's going to just struggle taking resources. He's going to be pushed back everywhere.
And meanwhile, the villager lead is getting even worse for RiuT, as unfortunately the Viper manages to squeeze in a couple of crossbowmen at the far bottom of RiuT's base, pick off a couple of lumberjacks, force even more idle time. 15 villagers in the town center, 4 in that watchtower. The Viper will lose those crossbows, but it was so worth it.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it, forcing that idle time, making Viper's economy even weaker still, and losing more still on the wood line at the front because there's no room at the inn. The watchtower is full, and these villagers are just left to die. But RiuT is castle. Can RiuT get his siege workshop? He is gonna try. He is gonna get that up, and he is gonna pin his hopes and dreams on the Celt mangonels, which of course fire faster and potentially have the opportunity to do more damage. But without any wood, RiuT is in some trouble, and I'm wondering if he's using a market to get resources. He's not. He doesn't have a market. But yeah, like I say, he is having a hard time getting wood right now, and without wood he can't really make the mangonels. Also, to bear in mind, I mean, the Briton crossbows outrange the mangonels.
Yeah, that they do, which is a very important note. Like you mentioned earlier, the mangonel here is going to be the great equalizer, and RiuT's last hope is he is less than half of the total population of the Viper. He's going to need the mangonel shot of the gods. Will the Viper choke here?
Well, we're going to watch Viper's point of view here as he sees this mangonel come towards him. It doesn't look like he's noticed. One shot will go off, but Viper just gets out of the way in time, and now he knows mangonel's on the field. He needs to be wary, and this is where we might see some of that magical Viper micro come into play. I do notice, though, a small counterattack on the north side. RiuT here sending some crossbows in towards Viper's economy, but, you know, Viper, he's got himself town watch right now. He's got so much visibility. He sees these units coming in a mile away, and he is prepared. He can get his villagers to safety, and bear in mind right now, he's on 3 TCs as well. That's the beauty of the Britons. 3 town centers and full military production, no problem.
Yeah, I think RiuT is doing everything that he can when he's behind. Basically, some great ways to claw your way back into a game when you're really down is some mangonels, perhaps doing some raiding to try and equalize that economic discrepancy, and I like that RiuT's moving forward, but the Viper with a cleverly placed outpost, he has so much map vision.
So much vision. He had that outpost there from the Feudal Age as well, so you know that he's been prepared for that. And just so much vision in general with the Town Watch research. It just gives so much line of sight, and that's what I was saying earlier on. You know, Viper likes his map control. He likes to see what's going on because it gives you so much more control. I think the way RiuT can claw this back now is not by trying to catch up in economy. He cannot outboom the Viper in this position. It's not going to happen. He has to go hard, or he has to go home. He's got one option, but that is not the way to do it. GG from RiuT there as he loses 2 mangonels to 1, and he knows he's got no chance to claw this back now.
Yeah, with RiuT having only a third of the Viper's total population, he is going to call it game. That mangonel shot, absolutely devastating, and this was a pretty decisive victory for the Viper.
Very decisive. You know, it kind of worries me a little bit. You know, I think that you know, Viper that outclassing RiuT quite strongly. I mean, he very, very comfortably won that game. I can't help but feel, though, that's just the Britons for you. The Britons being so very strong in the Castle Age, and once Viper hit that Castle Age, or got that Castle Age upgrade, he was able to really hammer home his advantage and really use those crossbows to their full potential. So, yeah, RiuT had a tough time that game, but game number 2 is going to be his home map, and we'll see what maybe he can do this time, or next time, rather.